4th day of May 2018. A very good morning. My name is Yusuf Ibrahim, and of course today is the World Firefighters Day. At the same time, NHIF has set today as, you know, the NHIF Awareness Day, and of course it's a day when we've seen a lot of uproar when it comes to billboards, the kind of billboards we have especially in the capital, Nairobi. We're going to have a discussion around that shortly. This is the News Center right on KTN News. Now let me take you straight to some of the big stories we are following for you this hour. And we expect a ruling from the Supreme Court this morning. Spouse upkeep Supreme Court ruling. The court is set to rule on maintenance after divorce, separation. And still this morning, we're keeping watch on the floods in the country, even as rains continue to pound various parts of the country. We're getting reports that there's some counties in northeastern that have been submerged. I'm going to have a link with our correspondent there, Hamza Yusuf, shortly. And finally, our discussion this morning revolves around morals versus messaging. What is in a billboard? This comes at a time when the Kenyan Film Classification Board pulled down some of the billboards in the capital. I'm going to link up with Timothy Otieno shortly. And as we mark NHIF Awareness Day today, we are asking you in a Twitter poll, what is your NHIF experience? This is what we are asking you. What is your NHIF experience? What is your NHIF story? You can put your feedback there. You can as well post your question there, because shortly, once again, I'm going to have Gilbert Osoro from the NHIF shortly with me in studio. Now to public education, and there's an uproar over billboards written in Chinese language but erected on Kenyan streets. Here's the Chief Executive Officer of the Kenyan Film Classification Board, Dr. Ezekiel Mutua's take, and we're following that story keenly, and our reporter Timothy Otieno will be sampling views of Kenyans on the same.
Any communication that is targeting the public, whether through outdoor advertising or mainstream media, should be understandable to the consumer. The target market and the target consumer, for example, in that billboard that is in Chinese, should be Kenyan. And unless there's a translation, then it's offensive for them to put it there when the target consumer cannot understand. As the regulator of content, we find it offensive and against the law for anybody to erect a billboard, including foreign agencies and embassies, unless it is within the precincts of the embassy or the high commissions. Anything that is meant or targeting public consumers or the Kenyan public in the public space should conform to the content regulation laws and must ensure that we understand what they say. Suppose they're insulting us, or suppose they are saying something that does not agree with our laws. People are putting billboards in the public space. That is not a private place. Government regulates the public space. Anything you put to the public, including Muganga wa Kienyeji, the fellow who puts things there saying that he can help you win an electoral or political seat, or nguvu za kiume, you've seen all those things, Muganga, natibu magonjwa aina fulani, that content must be approved because you are targeting the public. You can deceive or dupe or use the vulnerability and gullibility of Kenyans to extort money using a language that we don't understand. And any billboard that is targeting the public must conform to the classification guidelines of the board and the content regulation of the government.
And still matters KFCB and the Kenyan Film Classification Board has issued notice for the immediate removal of several billboards mounted by an insurance company after it classified them as obscene. KFCB wants the billboards pulled down on account of containing inappropriate language, adult implied message, and pictures not suitable for public exhibition. The company has been given 24-hour notice to bring down the billboards, failure to which they will be pulled down at their cost and also face prosecution.
shit happen. As you are aware, our attention has been drawn by this billboard behind me, which has the writings "shit do happens" and very gory pictures, whereby a guy, instead of kicking a ball, is kicking something else. It is the responsibility of the board to regulate exhibition and the displaying of any content at any public place. This advert, it should have passed through many avenues, but the content regulator, who is Kenya Film Classification Board, was not consulted while this billboard was being screened there and the content therein. We've written to the insurance company, GA Insurance Company, to pull that advert down within the next 24 hours with effect from today morning. We've not gotten a response from them, and we are still telling them, we are it not for the rains. The board should be down right now.
Of course, those are officials from the Kenya Film Classification Board who are saying that they've ordered the pulling down of billboards that they've termed unfit for public display. And they're also saying that the languages used are inappropriate in some of the billboards there, and the implied messages are of adult nature. So in studio this morning, I have somebody who can explain to us what needs to be done or, sanitized in this kind of development. I'm joined by Jennifer Kaberi. She is a child development specialist. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning.
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
You see the uproar there with regards to the billboards. I'm sure you're not going to talk about the Chinese billboards.
No.
But let's talk about the billboards. The Kenya Film Classification Board says that it has messages that are of adult nature. So from your point of view, what do you think needs to be done? Or what do you think these businesses, for example, the company that is in question, an insurance company, what do you think they need to do to make sure that, these messages are not obscene?
So I will start the conversation from the point of how sensitive are we as businesses to children? So the United Nations on Convention on the Rights of Children, it has two principles: the best interest of the child, which the Kenyan country has borrowed a lot, and the do no harm principle. Yeah. So, and the best thing about the Kenyan Constitution is it's very clear. It's in all matters, not only on children matters. In all matters, best interest of the child should be considered. So when you're putting out that billboard, have you considered the best interest of the child? Have you considered the do no harm? I always say that businesses, when you're doing a business or a marketing survey, how many people look at the impact of that advertisement to children? They do how much is the revenue, what is the impact, but
nobody talks about children.
Nobody talks about children.
And I'm sure a lot of children out there, they consume a lot of media,
yes,
television, billboards, and they ask parents a lot of questions. So what kind of an impact can this have on the children?
So 54% of Kenyan population are children. So majority of the consumers of those messages are children. So the impact include the definition of what beauty is. If you see all the beauties in all billboards are slender, they're size 8. That means you are actually influencing and manipulating the definition of beauty to that child, So there's this story about a child who had been seeing this black soda. Every time they're going to school, they say, hey, this black soda. And these guys look to be having so much fun. So they went home and then one day, for some fluke, they decided to stay after 9. And they said, Mommy, I want that soda. That black soda looks so much fun, because they've been seeing that black soda being advertised every day. And it looks as if it's entertaining, and they really want this black soda.
This applies to cigarettes as well.
It's same with cigarettes. So when you're advertising, so I'm going to quote some principles, like the 6, they're called business principles and child rights. So number 6 is very specific on marketing and advertisement. And it says, it should not reinforce discrimination. For example, you can remember there was an uproar a few months ago about the cutest monkey, about this boy and Kenyan boy who took a fight. So how are you reinforcing that discrimination? Are you saying because you're black, you're supposed to be a monkey?
Yeah.
how is it going to, like sexualizing things? Are we supposed to sexualize everything? How is it going to impact psychologically? And especially for children who are growing up and they start thinking, okay, for you to be on TV or to be famous, you have to look at this. And it's just reinforcing some myths and some things in what they're thinking. And that's why, like, for example, ifike wazazi, because for you to be famous, you have to pose in a particular way with this number of clothes on. So it's such reinforcing some of these things that are negative on children.
So Jennifer, this invokes another question. Should the content on these billboards, on TV advert, do you think they should be subject to, examination before they're aired or they're put out there?
Then every business should conduct a child protection it's called what? I've forgotten.
No problem.
An audit on child protection.
Yes.
Before you do an advertisement, you should do an audit on child protection. How is that advertisement going to impact on children? For example, SGR. There's this thing about SGR before the advertisement. How many people took an impact assessment on how it's going to affect children? That advertisement they're talking. Did that insurance company? Most of the consumer of that insurance are children or families. Did they take an impact, how it's going to impact families? You should take a child rights impact assessment before you do anything.
We could have aired some of the adverts there, but I think we thought we were going to push their messages even further. That's why we've chosen not to air them.
Yes.
So those were saying that the Kenyan Film Classification Board and the CEO are overstepping their mandate. Do you think they have a role to play there?
I believe they have, because I think Dr. Mutua has the role of upholding child rights in this country. And that's including the right of do no harm. If they perceive that billboard is going to cause harm to children, they have the right to pull it down. It's not about morality, it's the harm that it's going to cause the children. It's accordance to the UNCRC and the Kenyan Constitution. So if it's going to harm a child, it's not physically, but psychologically, yes, it should be pulled down.
And I'm sure most businesses, you've already talked about this, they don't put child protection into consideration. They just think about their target audience. They don't know that when they put these things in public fora, then children are also going to be exposed to these adverts. So do you think they should have like a child protection kind of a department within these organizations?
So yes, thank you very much, because every business should have a responsibility. So I mentioned earlier about the child rights business principles. There are 10 of them, and they are in categories of workplace, marketing and advertisement, issues to do with products and the process. Like at workplace, how responsible are you to your staff people in ensuring that the children's rights of their own staff members have been taken care of. And the product, how you are producing your products. And then marketing, this is where this issue is coming in. How is your product or the way you market influencing child rights? Is it like what I'm saying, reinforcing like sexual and body issues, issues to do with discrimination, or issues to do with harming children? Are you advertising something that is going to harm? For example, if you're advertising cigarettes and it's harmful to a child, how are you advertising it? Are you in line with the WHO advertising principles on issues to do with that? So it depends. All businesses should be very, very concentrated on child protection. And yes, they should have a child protection unit and a child protection policy.
Jennifer, what do you have to say about these businesses who say that, this is an open society, they're free to advertise anything they feel like advertising because they know their target, our consumers out there. What do you have to say about them?
As much as a business would want to run away, children impact business in a very big way. For example, if my child, there used to be this advertisement. Whenever he would see that advertisement, he would run, like literally run.
Run away from
the advertisement. It was one of our telcos.
Yes.
And for the longest time, we will not watch that advertisement. We wanted to just switch it off because he'll start crying and running away. And it was a very, very good product. Especially for my kind of business, it was a very good product. So it impacted the way I view. I cannot subscribe to that particular service because of the way it impacted my child. For almost 1 year, we could not watch that advert. So it impacts the way a parent views your product. It impacts the child. Your child is the consumer of that. If the child said, we don't want that. And also it affects the way your processes, the whole the whole thing about who you are. For example, right now, for example, there's a very nice commercial about a milk product, and all children are singing. We are being forced as parents to go buy it. It's not our choice.
At least milk is a good product.
Yes,
I remember when I was young, I used to watch some advert on cigarettes, and I always thought, cigarettes are sweet.
Yes, that's what I was saying about the black
soda. So this
soda.
results to drug abuse as well among
yes,
youth.
it's the same as the black soda.
Yeah.
The black soda. How does that black soda, that's alcohol, affect the child as at the family level? How does alcohol affect the child? Is it going to affect, remember, the child is going to be a consumer 10 years, 15 years from now. So if they see how it has affected, for example, if alcohol affected your family and affected your relationship with your parents, you most likely don't want anything to do with that particular brand, and you will not even want to touch it because of the way as a child it affected you. So children affect businesses, and business affect children. There is a very close correlation for that.
And Jennifer, there's a viewer here who says, that these advertisers apparently are abusing public space in the name of advertisement.
I agree. So and then again, did they do the assessment? They're taking that space and they're affecting the way our views, and how we look. The 54% of Kenyans, that place. How can they use? Can they use the advertisement as much as you're advertising as an educational material? Yes, I'm advertising this product, but I'm going to educate a community or children or families or a particular thing instead of being very obscene. Yes.
Jennifer, one final question with regards to the Chinese billboards.
Yes.
I know you advocate about children and children's rights,
Yes.
but at the same time, this is an advert that is in a different language, a foreign language that hardly even 0.01% of Kenyans speak, that is Chinese. I'm sure you have your point of view as well on that.
Who was the audience? Who are they targeting?
Yeah.
Who are they targeting? Were they targeting Kenyans? If they were targeting Kenyans, they would have done at least a translation.
I don't think there's a Kiswahili advert in China as well.
Yes. Actually, someone yesterday called me. Have you ever gone to SGR and seen all these Chinese adverts?
Yeah.
If, for example, it's a child who maybe wants to go to the loo and it's written in Chinese, what does that mean to that child? So it's being sensitive to the culture, as what Dr. Mutua has just said.
And further confuses the children.
Yes. Are you sensitive to the culture where you're advertising? Are you sensitive to your consumers? Yes. The 0.1, where you'd want that advertisement. But the majority of the 49 plus million.
And once again, that's a public space.
Yes, and that's a
Thanks
public
lot,
space.
Jennifer, for your input.
Thank
Jennifer
you so
Kaberi
much.
is a child development specialist. Well, when